Danger of missing the best 5 minutes of this board meeting. So stay away at your peril. Ms. Molly Hart. All right, let's see who we got. Welcome, first of all. This is the Friday session of USPE General Board meeting. We have some unfinished business that was noticed up yesterday. That will include an executive session, and then we will go into a study session. So let's do a roll call and see what we've got. Member Reel. Member Booth. Member Bogus. Member Klein. Do you have anybody online? I heard no. Still nobody? Okay. Member Davis. Vice Chair Earl. Member Green. Vice Chair Hart. Here. Member Carey. Here. Member Wood. Yeah. Member Hymas. Here. Member Lear. Member Norton. Member Straight. Here. And Member Moss. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We have a quorum, and we can start with business. So I guess the first item, I believe, is this statement, which I put together, so I'll just take the lead on that and put it out to the body. So this is not, unless you had other thoughts. I do not care.
Go ahead.
I
Go ahead.
honestly have no opinion.
I just mistold some.
Well, are other folks waiting? We don't have any reason to do this first.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Well, yeah, but are those people now depending? Because we can go into...
They're members, and they're fine. They just got a new story.
It's all good?
Yeah, it's okay.
Okay. This is not significant enough to throw other things off. Okay. All right. This is a... Okay, this is a letter. It doesn't set policy. It doesn't change anything except that it is an attempt... kind of grew out of this focus sessions, study, whatever, focus groups we did last year on items where we talked with all three groups, the local education agencies, the USPE, and the legislature, and we sort of talked about how we could address the concerns of constituents at three different levels. We sort of, in that case, took a rolling sequence. We discussed things about LEA policy and USPE rule and then legislation. And coming out of that, there was a sense that we wanted to let the world know that they have three different avenues. Every constituent in the state votes for three people: a local board member, and that might be on the district side. They might be involved in a charter school. They also vote for a USPE member. They also vote for a legislator. We just went that round again. And we wanted to put something out that said, hey, those three levels have an interest in making sure that public and parent concerns are resolved. And a couple of things that I felt that we would be able to say together, have some unity of that message. One of them was that we're working on it. It's very valuable. It's important for us to hear your concerns. Number two. All right. Number two was a message that we encourage constituents to start at the level closest to the student. So talk to your school, talk to your teachers, your principal, and if you have a concern, again, you have three elected officials that can help you. First, go to your LEA board member or your charter leader. Second, you could come to us. We're always happy to help. Third, go to the legislature, and if it's something that requires legislation, it requires legislation. But this draft has been put together after discussions over the summer by myself, by Speaker Schultz, and by Terry Rhodes, who is the chair of the Utah School Boards Association. So kind of leadership at all three levels. Again, this doesn't make policy. It just says, hey, here's some things we've been trying to do to listen and respond. Here is some encouragement for, number one, folks to take it to the local level first, including legislators. And so you'll see language that encourages legislators to first connect with a member of their local board or USPE member. And that was language that was helped to be fine-tuned by Speaker Schultz's office. I think President Adams' office is weighed in there as well. And then second, you'll see that we've advised or advertised that we have a new parent liaison engagement specialist. We also have a USBE, and the title would need to change here, but it's basically a program in special education parent specialist, which is Susie Estrada. And that those people can help people get to the right spot in our organization or down in the US or in the LEA. So that's part two. So legislators are encouraged to take it local. We have folks here to help you. And then we encourage all LEAs to designate somebody and put up on the website, make it easier if we're going to steer concerns their way to know who to talk to. So that's the encouragement at the state level. So I want to be clear, and you got an email from Terry Rhodes making clear that her name would be on this and she would sign it, but her body's not yet approved. This body's not yet approved. So all this is draft. And you'll see a quote up front. That's not something that the three of us said. It's something that if we approve, we will say, right? So you'll see this quote that, and this came, I think the actual language came at the legislative level. Again, it's been the three of us going back and forth. Working hand in hand, the Utah Legislature, State Board of Education, the School Board Association, charter school associations have sought to improve parental involvement and awareness, increasing responsiveness to parental concerns, and continue building trust with parents. So that's the background. It's the three levels of leadership have put together a draft, and then if this is approved, it would be sent out as long as those three levels also approve. So the USBA would take it to their body. If this body approves, that'll be done. Then we'd send it back to legislative leadership. They don't seem to need approval from their whole body. They can weigh in and sign it. So somebody should have stopped me from explaining before I moved it. I wanted to give the background, but I guess the motion is that we approve, and I'll just make the motion, that we approve for this letter to be sent out with the authority of the board, provided it's also approved at the other levels of legislation in the USBA. So I have already addressed it, and nobody whacked me with a gavel. Is there a second? Thank you, Vice Chair Earl. So with that, open to questions, comments, tear it up, dig in. Hopefully I've addressed concerns that have been raised, but happy to obviously take it to the body and see what we think. Member Bogus.
So I would like to move that, to substitute your motion to approve draft 3.
Okay, let's see draft 3.
Where's draft 3?
Kelsey has it. And with a second, I'll speak to the motion.
So is this a whole new draft? Is that, because I didn't see that somewhere?
It's got a lot of the same characteristics. It's just, in my opinion, more in line with the public policy assertions of the state.
Did someone say it's not, is it emailed or?
Oh, would you like it? I thought we
Oh,
were.
Sorry, is it
We'll have
uploaded?
it up on the screen momentarily. Maybe Member Bogus, if you want to forward to that.
I can
And then
forward it,
going,
yeah.
Candy and see if she can upload it to CiviClick as well. But, Draft 3 is now up on the.
All right, there you go. So it is in your inbox as well.
And this indicates the changes too or not?
So there's some of it that I completely removed because it doesn't align with the public policy assertions in our code. And so if we were to draw our attention to, in particular, Utah Code 82A 201, Draft 2 and Draft 1 actually come in conflict with that. And it kind of frames the language in such a way that it presents the board as a very authoritarian agency or body as opposed to an empowering body. And so it seems to instruct parents as opposed to empower parents. And so, I opened that with just acknowledging that the public policy assertions of our state are very clearly delineated in code. I did keep the language that the legislature and the Board of Education have unique yet complementary roles. And then just acknowledging that parents are, by in my opinion, God, the Constitution and the Constitution of this state, they're the primary arbiters of their children. And acknowledging that we have heard our parents' concerns about what's occurring in this state, and then reaffirming Utah Code 53E-2-201, that parents have the primary responsibility for the education of their children, and that they elect legislative representatives, which is a reframing of the statement in the original draft, but just coming back to that public policy assertion in 53E2-201. And then in the second page, there's just a tiny bit of Passover language that is kept from the original draft that says handle things at the lowest level possible, and that as a body, it's our expectation that LEAs are being responsive to parents per the standards asserted in Utah Code 53G 6-803, that we expect our LEAs per the public policy of this state to be responsive to parents, and that the government's role is secondary, and then encouraging them to reach out to their lowest level representative to address their problems or concerns.
Okay, thank you. I think we had a second.
Yes, we did.
Okay, discussion to the substitute motion. Not seeing any lights.
I do.
Oh, Member Green.
I mean, what I want to acknowledge first is that in response to a lot of, difficult situations that we've seen across the state and kind of in education at large, we've tried to develop a way that we could help parents maneuver through some of the struggles that they have voiced a lot over the last few years. And what I think was born from that is kind of like the parent liaison person. And I mean, I've said it before, I'll say it again, that for a long time it's been that parents will put together their 2-minute public comment, and they'll come, and almost most times as a last resort, because things that they've done to try and engage or resolve situations have kind of landed on deaf ears. And so I think we've tried to develop a way where that just doesn't float out into the universe and doesn't land anywhere. So I want to acknowledge that, and I do appreciate it. What I do like about Draft 3 is that it is this reminder, I believe, for parents that there is a unique thing that is built into the fabric of how we run government, specifically around education. And I have this saying, speak the words you want to be spoken. I want to empower parents, and I want them to be reminded how they are through the law, through our Constitution, through the organizations that we work in, through this body right here, that it shouldn't be, that government hooks up every single way in which we slack, but rather be reinvigorated as parents to become better protectors, to become better guiders, to be more involved. Part of that is educating them on how that looks in the legal landscape, in the personal, in the spiritual, in the nourishment, all the different levels there. So what I do like about Draft 3 is that it empowers them to that. I do also like that it reminds them that we elect people to represent them, and that they can utilize those people that have been elected to represent their voice, and it encourages that kind of chain of command. So I do support Draft 3. I think it's a valiant effort what we're trying to do. If we can highlight for the state of Utah that the Board of Education is championing parents and families and that strong unit, and we can fine-tune that message, then I'm all for that. So.
Okay, thank you, Member Green. And I'll just say again, in terms of process, if whatever this body approves, it would need to go back to USBA, to their body. They would need to approve, and then go back to the legislative leadership. So this won't be the final, but it's a chance for us to say what we think is part of a united message. And I think that, for me, is the most important. What can we all agree on? I think that is something that, there's a lot of parent concern, as Member Green pointed out. And what I think folks were willing to unite around is saying, we hear you, and here's 3 ways to get that taken care of so that your voice is heard. And it's really kind of intended to have a unified effort to get that triple layer availability in place, and hopefully, get our LEAs to say, look, we're going to try to steer folks your way, and then we're asking you to make sure that you're ready for that by designating a spot and a person who is going to recognize those concerns and get them resolved before it has to escalate. And then if it needs to escalate, then you got 2 more levels, and we stand ready as elected officers to listen to you. Member Straight.
Yes, thank you, Chair. I think in response to that, there are levels of discussions here, and as was stated, whatever we do here goes back to the other groups that are associated with this. So my suggestion would be that if we have concerns, in other words, draft 3, if we have concerns about draft 2, in comparison to 3, I would like to go from that standpoint, because I heard a litany of generalizations about how draft 3 is better, but I don't have anything specific to hold on to in regards to that. So I am more than welcome, in my opinion, to address draft 3, but I would like to do it in the context of draft 2, because if this were a 10-step process, I think we're at step 5. I think if we do draft 3, now we go back to step 1. So that's my thoughts.
Okay, thank you, Member Straight. Vice Chair Hart.
I know the work that was put in. I'm just now seeing draft 3. I'm uncomfortable even. I'm not sure. I mean, it's not redlined or anything, so I'm not sure I'm prepared to do anything with draft 3, because I'm just not, I just don't know the comparisons enough, and I can't figure it out this fast. So I kind of have I'm objecting to this process, quite frankly.
Okay, thank you, Vice Chair Hart. I'll make one more, and I'm happy to defer. I don't see any lights, so I don't mean to hog as the presenter of part 1. I will say that when we mention the parent engagement specialist, there's a link through to the parent portal, which we've spent a lot of time ensuring that language that's in part 3, that parents have the primary responsibility, et cetera, is all up there. And Vice Chair Earl and I and others worked to put that up there. So one of that link that you'll see takes you to some language that describes parent rights in a variety of contexts. I don't see any further lights, and so we can vote on the.
Oh, I actually have
Oh,
one.
yours is back on? Okay.
Yeah.
Back to Member Bogus.
Yeah, so, I guess to kind of yes and Vice Chair Hart, this never went through committee. This just randomly appeared on the board agenda. It did not have any members' names on it. I don't know that it had 3 members coming into, but it never went to committee. So if the objection is that it didn't go through the appropriate process, then I would move that we send this to the appropriate committee and entertain it after it goes through the committee next month.
So is that a motion?
Yes.
Okay. Is there a second? Second? Any discussion of the motion? And this was put through with the leadership signing on, but we didn't, initially it was going to be in consent. Because it didn't do policy, the question was where it belonged, and since it's a letter. So, okay, that's the motion. Now the motion is out to send it to committee next month, I assume?
I guess I'd wonder
Okay.
what committee this would be appropriate for.
I don't know if that's part of the motion.
Well, I know, but
Typically,
I,
it would be
in order to
determined
decide
in
if I want to go
executive
through committee, I need to know what we would be thinking.
Yeah, I mean, I'll respond that this was meant to be able to address newly elected folks as they've just come in this week. So the delay would mean that we don't get it to those people and get the unified message that here's how we all hope that we, in a uniform way, send it to the lowest level and then up through. So that's at least in my opinion, reason for getting it done. And because it doesn't make policy, it didn't go through committee. Not consent. People thought it could just go on consent, but brought it here. So be that as it may, the motion's there. Motion is to refer back to committee. Member Davis?
Point of order, isn't there a motion pending already?
There is a sub-motion.
Substitute motion, but then there's a motion to refer. I think that's in order, unless I'm out of order. So there was a substitute motion followed by a motion to refer, which I think is in order. So the motion now is to refer back to committee.
Yeah, and I would refer it to law and licensing.
Motion is to refer to law and licensing. Okay. The motion then is to refer this to law and licensing next month. Okay. Member Davis. Member Davis has the light on. Let's hear Member Davis.
I mean, I'm not emotionally tied to it either way. It can go to law and licensing, but it doesn't. It doesn't need to, and it doesn't need to come to the board. You can, without committing the board, you can write as a leader of the board and as the president of the USBA and as the Speaker of the House or all the people who are on there. We're saying as leaders of these bodies, what I understood the letter to be saying is you're asking two things. You're asking LEAs to make very clear in their communications to parents who they can go to help get their concerns resolved. And USBA folks, if they sign on with this, that email says they haven't quite yet, I don't know, that they're willing to do that and want to do that too in partnership. And it sounds like that we and you are asking the legislature, and the legislative leaders are saying, we're asking and saying to ourselves, we're willing to have folks, if they will, start in the school and then the LEA charter or district and then the state board and then come to us. It seems like a pretty reasonable chain of communication and understanding of steps, while adding, this resource or attention to detail of how to direct parents to most easily get that done, so they're not trying to fish through a bunch of people. So I don't know. It seems reasonable. I don't. If people want to send it back, but technically, it was nice of you to ask us. But it's your name on it, not ours.
Thank you, Member David. And that's what we thought. We thought since this doesn't set policy, we could probably just send out a letter that says we really enjoy education and we encourage people to talk to their people. But we thought the board would want to weigh in, so we brought it here for discussion. Vice Chair Earl?
One last thing is, I made my amendments on the whatever draft was that was in Sybil's email. Was that 2 or 1? The one in Sybil's email that she most. There were 2.
Probably first.
Which one got sent to us most
There are
recently, just a
amendments.
few days ago? Okay, so that's what I made my amendments on, so that's probably the one I'm going to prefer to work on because that's what I did my work on, but,
On draft
again,
2.
Everybody, I respect everyone's opinion on it.
Okay, Vice Chair Earl?
Yeah, I would, if a committee just doesn't seem appropriate for this, but I would say that I don't see any reasons why if we delayed it or whatever till next month that Board Member Bogus can, meet and assist in, what I mean, coming up with some, some kind of a language, kind of a meet middle ground kind of a thing. So work with Chair Moss. I just think that would be better thing than having it go through a committee and then back through the board. I just think that's probably where I would recommend. So I wouldn't vote for this, but I don't, like I said, I've had very little time to read through this. So even to compare it, but that's what I would recommend. Then it could go out next month and it will still be ahead of when USBA, they don't meet till the 15th or something. I can't remember when they said their meeting, but it's before their meeting. So it's not going to make any progress till then anyways, because they've got to report to their body. So I would think that time to do that would be appropriate, so.
Okay, so the motion is to refer back to committee in December. Any further discussion of that motion? Member Straight, is your line for that?
Well, I'm still at the same place on this element as I was on the previous. I appreciate the opportunity to give some feedback. There are those who have amendments on draft 2. I don't know how to have an amendment for draft 3 because we just have it. I think the philosophy of what's behind draft 2 is excellent. I think it's the way we need to go. I love the involvement of other stakeholders, and I look forward to trying to improve draft 2. And I think by just replacing draft 2, that would not be the appropriate way to do that. And I'm ready to move on with this today so that leadership can take this back and do further discussions with the legislature and USBA. Anyway, I think I belabored that enough. Thank you.
Thank you. Member Norton?
I would just have to say that I think in the spirit of collaboration, we need to address the draft 2 letter. We've had a group of dignitaries in our state who care about education, who've come together, collaborated, brought forth a document that they felt would help education, most importantly, would provide assistance to parents and ultimately to our students. And from there, you know, we can sand it and hopefully that can be something that will help our state going forward. But I think to honor the work that they have done, sure, and I appreciate you bringing it to us, and we can make tweaks and, you know, add some insight here or there. But, you know, this is a group of people that have come together, written a letter, and I think for us to just, you know, totally set it aside and start again is something that does not really show that we want to collaborate with our partners.
Thank you. Okay. Well, I would again just close with that. Just to sum, I think there's an opportunity to tweak. We wanted the opportunity to weigh in. I think it's timely because we can get it in front of legislators before the session starts. So I hope we can. Sorry? The motion is to refer to committee, which I would prefer that we not, so that it stay here. It's germane. All right, let's vote. Let's do, I guess we can start at the bottom because somehow member Reel gets stuck at the top. So I'm at the bottom. So I'm a yes. Member Straight. I'm sorry, I'm a no. I'm a no to referring to committee. The motion is to motion is, I don't know if we put it up there, to refer the item to committee, to Law and Licensing Committee next month for consideration. Correct? Okay. Member Moss is a no. Member Straight. Member Norton. Member Lear. Member Lear. Motion is to refer back to committee, Law and Licensing next month. Okay. Member Hymas. Member Wood. Member Carey. Member Vice Chair Hart. Member Green. Vice Chair Earl. Member Davis.
No.
Member Klein? Don't have Member Klein? Still nobody online, right? Okay. Member Bogus? Yes. Member Booth?
No.
Member Reel? Okay, so that brings us back to the substitute motion, which is that the board... oh, I'm sorry, that... terrible without the system in front of me. That fails with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 no's. And 2 yeses, Member Bogus and Member Green. That sound right? 1 absent, Member Klein being absent. Okay. All right, so back to the substitute motion from Member Bogus that the board approve draft 3 of the joint statement. Any further discussion to that? I see Member Bogus, light.
Yeah, so I think that as we contemplate these two, one is the USBA is a lobbyist agency, and for a constitutional body to link arms with a lobbyist agency and put out a public statement is, I think, dangerous territory and sets a horrible precedent for the work that we're supposed to do here as representatives of the people.
Why do you say
And
a lobbyist?
Hold on, Member Booth. I'll get to you. We'll put you in line now.
so with that, draft 3 was misrepresented in the fact that it included the USBA, because it does not. It is merely a joint statement between our leader and then the leaders of the Utah State Legislature. It adequately and honestly reflects the public policy that's been asserted by the legislature, whereas draft 2 comes in conflict with the asserted public policies of this state. And so the one does not represent the accuracy of public policy in the state, where the other one quotes it accurately. And so, I did reach out and asked, who the author of draft 2 was. I didn't get a response. I even said, what is the pathway toward amendment? And I was told it was not going to be amendable. And so with that, I created this draft. So then the question becomes, if we're not going to send it to committee, what is the pathway? Because it seems to me that this is just flown under the radar in the dark of night, and then all of a sudden it appears on the board agenda, and then we're told we can't amend it. There's an effort made to engage, and now we have all these excuses. The number of times things have come before this board that I've had to read on the fly is probably more than all the fingers and toes in this room. But when something comes that is impactful and poignant, and it creates a pinnacle of opposition to our asserted public policy, then all of a sudden nobody has a brain. And I think that there needs to be some cogitation on that. And if this is not the draft the board wants to approve, that's fine. I don't discount the movement of the body, but we do need whatever statement is put out to not be made with lobbyist agencies, and to assert that as a constitutional body and representatives of the people, this is how we feel. And those feelings should reflect the public policies of this state, as opposed to something that contradicts the public policies of this state. So I would leave that at that. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. And I think Member Booth had a comment. I will respond on a couple of procedural points. It's definitely amendable. That's why we brought it. I think, as Member Davis brought out, it normally might have just been something that we released. Those who put it together started with me. I drew up a letter that said, hey, we'd like to encourage folks to reach out, and here's 3 ways to do it. It then went to Speaker Schultz, and his office came back with some changes. It then went to Terry Rhodes as the president of USBA, which is a chosen representative of the elected school boards around the state. And then we added UAPCS and UCN, which are associations to which charter schools join, because they indicated that they would like to be part of that discussion. So that's the group of people. At this point, nobody has formally approved it, brought it to this body for discussion, amendment, whatever. Then it would go to USBA, and Terry would take it back there for them to weigh in, decide if they like it, and we would send it back to the legislative leadership as well. So that would be the process. This is our opportunity, and amendments are most definitely welcome. Member Booth, did you have a question?
I have spent several days in the last month participating in leadership training with NASB. And one of the things that I learned in that experience was that working together on the state school board, it's necessary that we develop relationships. And in order to develop relationships amongst the body, we have to care about the other members of the body. Without that caring and without understanding that relationships are built through dialogue and conversation, by listening, by sometimes acknowledging that maybe what someone else said has some merit, I should reconsider. Certainly doesn't take away from the need for people to speak strongly about what they feel strongly about, but to dismiss others' views because I say it is this way or that way does not build relationships and does not build trust and does not allow us to care for one another, because we start to feel isolated and like we're not willing to work together. And I am going to continue, to say that the USBA is a lobbying organization. I've been with USBA for 20 years. And to say that the board of directors, of which I've been a part for many of those years, is a lobbying organization when I have sat in those chairs and recognized the representative function as I wrote the bylaws for that organization, and to know what that representative function is of the local LEAs that are involved. And I'm assuming that with a charter school organization that it would be similar. This is not a lobbying organization. And so if you have some reason to believe that it is, I'd love to share more information so that you weren't misinformed. But I believe that having spent 20 years in those seats, that I know what I've been a part of and how we have functioned and what the bylaws are comprised of. So I would just like us to work together. I think this is a noble, important communication, and we want to get it right. And I certainly respect everyone's input on how we should work to get it right. If it is against, not compliant with the law or with codes, then we need specifics as where do you see that, and what would you bring to the table so that I can just understand, because I want to do what's right by children first and foremost. And I think we've got a lot of smart people in the room and a lot of good people that I care about in the room that I would love to discuss that. But the adversarial or this is my position, dig in heels position makes it more difficult to build an ongoing working relationship. So I'm just pleading for communication and working together to solve our problems. Thank you.
Member Straight.
Thank you, Chair. I'd just like to remind this body that USBA stands for Utah School Boards Association. School boards are elected, although non-partisan, by the people to represent the school districts. We have similar organizations, not necessarily elected, but do exist for our charter schools. All of these individuals have an important role in education, and they are closer to the people than we are. Where the rubber meets the road, that's where it is. We're a policy-making organization, and I applaud the concept of working together with a wide group of individuals with different ideas and inputs. I think that is so valuable. And as I've said before, I don't think that the other document's perfect, but I think it's a great place to start, establishes a foundation upon which we can build. But most importantly, we need to get to a point of collaboration and cooperation. And to me, that's the biggest message of this joint statement, is how we're going to work together in a productive and effective and efficient way to make good policy for this state instead of locking horns and not giving in. So anyway, I see some positive things. I have a hard time even making it past the first paragraph. This breach of trust, in quotes, as if that is necessarily the factual case. Are there weaknesses? Are there challenges? Absolutely. That's always the case. Anyway, I've said enough, but.
All right, thank you, Member Straight. I see no lights. Let's tee up a vote. The motion is that the board, substitute motion, that the board approve draft 3 of the joint statement. So I will start at the other side this time. Member Reel. No. Member Booth. No. Member Bogus. Yes. Member Klein. Member Davis.
No.
Vice Chair Earl.
No.
Member Green.
Yes.
Vice Chair Hart.
No.
Member Carey.
No.
Member Wood.
No.
Member Hymas.
No.
Member Lear.
No.
Member Norton.
No.
Member Straight.
No.
And Member Moss is a no. That motion fails with 12 noes and 2 yeses, being Member Bogus, Member Green, with Member Klein absent. Okay, so back to the underlying motion is that the board approves the joint statement as recommended to be sent out if approved. The board approved the joint statement draft 2 as recommended to be sent out if approved at the other appropriate levels, and that's open to board member input, amendment, discussion. Member, let me make sure I got the right order here. I saw Member Carey, but we got Member Davis too. Oh, gotcha. Member Carey and Member Davis, yes.
Just a question. Will the letter be signed by the chair in his capacity as chair of the board or in his individual capacity as a member of the board?
Because we brought it here, if the board approves it, it would be signed in my capacity as the chair of the board.
Fair
The
enough.
other option was if we didn't bring it here, it would just be me. So that was part of the impetus for coming here.
Okay, with that understanding, then I have no further questions.
Thank you. Member Davis.
Yeah, thanks. And I think with that, you know, you could still sign as the chair of the board, but you would not be able to indicate that the board was part of the. It was
If
your
we
own. You
hadn't
would
brought it
I
here.
mean, we would hope, out of respect, you would say, as my own opinion,
Right.
you know. But
Right.
I mean, so I would move. I'm gonna take out a bunch of my other thoughts of corrections just in the interest of the whole conversation here, and just ask that we add an S in parentheses on the last line of the first parent tip. The last line reads, "In order to address parent concerns at the local level, we encourage each LEA to include information on their website directing parents or the public to a person, S, designated to receive and direct questions or complaints." And then, so sorry, the S would be after the word person, not after the word complaint.
So we're saying person or persons. That's
Person
the
or persons.
emphasis. That's the parentheses.
Correct. And the same would hold true with, in number 2, that same S after the word specialist. So it begins saying the Utah State Board of Education has hired a parent liaison and engagement specialist, S. Well, if you put it in parentheses, it would need to keep the A. And I'd like to speak to the motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded. Back to you, Member Davis.
Thank you. We have multiple parent liaisons and engagement specialists, and that is actually how they refer to themselves. I was actually on a call last week with the Department of Civil Rights, and some of our parent engagement specialists through special education, through the Utah Parent Center, whom we contract with, were speaking as parent engagement specialists. So I think we have to be really careful that we ascribe to the notion of having easy go-to people for parents to address their concerns, but that there's not only one of those for a system of 675,000 students. It seems way too narrow. So and actually a little inaccurate. So I think that if we are more inclusive here and we add that S, and then I do think that where the link is, and I don't know how to add this to my motion, but I do think we need to add the part that has the link to the parent portal. I think we need to, in addition to Cassie, who's currently there, and I'm glad there aren't specific names because employees will come and go, and they'll just need the link to get there. But we also, in that link, need to add, is it Susie Estrada right now, who's the parent liaison for the special ed specifically? I think we need to add her name because she connects anyone with a special ed concern to our parent engagement specialist through the Utah Parent Center, who we contract with. So I think for just more accuracy purposes, it needs to be that way. And I had other language changes, but I think I'll just leave it at this, at least, to be a little, I feel like, more accurate.
Thank you, and I support that. One point of clarity, that there is a link on the, again, we did take out names for continuity. The first link up there, when it references the position that's currently Cassie, takes you to the parent portal. The reference to Susie's, currently held by Susie, Title I, I think that actually needs to say, and Superintendent Dix and I yesterday, I think she was saying that should be a program, Title I program in special education parents, whatever the actual title is. That's been in flux, but I would agree that could be. We had one concern, maybe Kelsey can address. At the time that we looked at making that a link, there's a little bit of concern about the state of that page, but I think we would have time to make sure that page is in condition to be linked to, because I support what you're trying to do.
So if this is friendly, I would, and if the board is okay with this, I would say just work to add some clarity. Either take the link off of parent liaison engagement specialist and add it to the words parent portal, because that link that you follow actually goes to the parent portal.
Got it.
Or
It's friendly.
leave the parent portal as the link to the engagement specialist and make the Title I special education specialist also a link, and add Susie's name to the parent portal page, or keep the way you have it now and put the USBE Titles I and Special Education Parent Specialist as a link to Susie's, and fix the page.
Got
There's
it.
a problem with the page, fix it. But we have multiple people hired to do these things, and so I think we just need to make sure we're communicating that appropriately.
Yeah, that is a friendly, and I'll just comment. One benefit we thought of referencing the positions, again, currently held by Cassie and Susie, is that if you go to one of those two people, they'll get you to those other parent specialists. And I think that's part of the suggestion at the local level. There's a lot of people, but put up one person that if a parent doesn't know who to call, go here and they'll get you to the right person. So I fully agree with everything you said, and I think we can make those links work to get, that's the idea. If a parent
Yeah.
has a concern, they don't know where to go here and they'll get you to the right spot, right? So
Yes, and just to follow up, the reason for the S on the where the LEA is concerned is that you've got very small LEAs where one person will be
Right.
that person. You've got very large LEAs where multiple people, if it's special ed, you contact this person. If it's this, you contact this. If it's this, you contact this.
Yep.
So that's just, thank you for that.
got it. No,
S.
thank you. Okay, I certainly support. Member Bogus?
Yes, sir. So just to answer the question that was directed in Utah Code 80, subsection 2A201, and then you're looking at E1, it says, "It is the public policy of this state that a parent retains the fundamental right and duty to exercise," and I'm quoting, "primary control over the education of their children, yet we are a government body telling parents what to do." And those two things are in complete conflict with one another. If we genuinely believe in a Republican form of government, of the people, by the people, for the people, the government should not be telling the people how to engage. And by saying you have to engage in a government-approved pathway of engagement, we're becoming authoritarian as opposed to empowering. And it just seems to be a dichotomy that can't reconcile with the language in this resolution as is.
Thank you. Member Booth?
I just have a question. How could we reframe what I see this is not this is what you do, but as a help to help them know where to turn or how to accomplish what they're trying to accomplish in the easiest, most efficient, most painless manner.
Is
Yeah.
that to the chair or to anybody?
back
Member
to the-
Bogus?
So I think the answer to that is that all parents have a different way that they can and are able to engage. and they have different bandwidths. But to force a government-approved pathway of engagement is the most unempowering thing I can possibly think of. I think that the assertion that we can help you, but you're in charge, and to assert to our LEAs that it is the public policy of this state that they are responsive to parental concerns, and to move that forward is better language as opposed to here's the government giving you tips on parenting. To me, it just reeks of authoritarianism. Did I answer your question?
And I'll answer that too. I think the intent is precisely the opposite. Parents do have the primary right. This is meant to say, here are the channels by which you can exercise that right. We're here ready to hear from you. So I hope it has that effect, is to actually address that belief that parents do have that. How do you get that to the officials who work for you? That's the prism with which I view this. You elect people to serve you. How do you reach out and express your concerns? Here's 3 channels. We're all in this together. We're ready to hear from you. That's the intent. I understand the concern. But all right, I don't see any other lights, so let's vote on the amendment of Member Davis, which were to add 2 parenthetical S's and to fix the links to make sure they go through to those points referenced in that paragraph. So we'll start back at the bottom. What's that? Oh, add S to person and specialist.
Sorry.
Well, I don't think it was Susie's name as much as a
No.
link through to her part of the. Go ahead, Member Davis.
Let's say add clarity in the links to our multiple engagement specialists, at least the 2, because I don't need their. I shouldn't say I don't. I just don't know that their name needs to be in the letter. They could get a new job tomorrow, but I think
No.
we just need to add
We're
clarity
not.
with
She's
the links.
clarifying that it's links to those 2 specialists, so they
Yeah.
can land on what's currently occupied by Cassie and Susie. Links to get you there.
Yeah, although I didn't see Susie's name when I looked at the link. I only saw
There-
Cassie's.
Well, no. So the link goes to, you're right, to the part that Cassie has put together. The second reference would be a link to Susie's part, which is there. We just had concerns about the state of the webpage. So I think the motion would be to make sure that's ready and have the link
Yeah,
activated.
either put Susie's name on
both.
the parent portal.
Yeah.
Probably that would be the best.
And I
For
think
special ed,
she's
go
there
here, and
somewhere.
for regular complaints, go
Go
here.
there, yeah.
That's what I think that would be the best, is to add Susie's name right on that front page
If
with
it's not
Cassie's.
already there, we can do that. I think the second link takes directly to her part, which is the specialized focus. But yeah, have it in both.
I think it should be
We
in
can
both
fix that.
because we have so many that work with Susie.
And the 2 of them, by the way, I'll just say the 2 of them are currently in the process of getting communication out. And now that we've got their job positions, saying, hey, here's the overlap, here's where we. So I think that's part of exactly what's going on behind the scenes, is they're working to make that.
Yeah. Last
joint
comment. When a parent
communication.
goes to a parent portal, it would be nice to have both of those names there. Special
Right.
ed, click here. Other,
Yep.
click here. Because everything doesn't need to funnel through Cassie.
Right,
Some
yeah.
things can funnel through special ed and some things can funnel through Cassie.
And I think they're actually, working jointly on exactly that.
There's
So, okay.
the superintendent just texted me just saying, instead of Title I, putting school improvement, because it's more than
There
just
you
the
go.
Title I, it's actually a couple
I
of different
referenced
things
my
that she.
discussion with Sid. Title, yes.
Title I is a piece
School
of it,
Improvement Program.
Yeah.
And SPED. That's what
yeah.
Sid and I talked about, having that title be School
That's
Improvement
fine
Program.
as long as SPED is still in there because
Yes,
SPED is
and
our
SPED.
largest
Correct.
complaint
Yep.
area.
Yeah, but it's
And
it's a
School
little broader.
Improvement Program, because school improvement itself is such a broad topic, it was clear that she works very specifically on a program.
I don't know if that's a friendly or not, but that's Sid's
That's
suggesting
friendly.
that.
That's friendly, yeah. Thank you
Well,
to
as long as SPED
Superintendent Dixon.
stays in it, yeah.
Any objection? No? Okay. All right, so that is teed up. The motion is to add an S to person and specialist as specified in the letter and clarify hyperlinks to provide resources for multiple parent engagement specialists. Yes, Member Lear.
One more, which I think will be more of a friendly amendment and a grammatical change, because that suggests one. Susie Estrada's been in place for a while. Would Cindy be okay about taking out the hired and say, has a Yeah, I'm just saying, would you be okay about taking out the hired and saying has a, given that there's still an S at the end of some of the other phrases?
Can you read the sentence to me? Because I can't see
I don't
it.
know if I can or not.
Oh. Which, are you talking about the one on the specialist one? The
Yeah,
US,
well, I'm
the
saying
Utah
has-
State Board of Education, USB, has
Has
hired
hired.
a parent liaison and engagement
Could
specialist.
you say has a parent liaison, so that it doesn't suggest that,
Yes.
that only,
I think
that
that's
that it's-
much, well,
that
I
it-
think it's much better because we've had parent engagement specialists for a long time through our
Yes.
Utah Parent Center.
And so,
But regardless, it's just information to let people know there is a parent engagement specialist ready for you, no matter what your concern is. We're here to help you.
Yeah, any objection? And I won't object. I'll just say part of this was to give news of here's things that have been done, and the legislature mentioned a bill, we mentioned a position, but to your point, we've had others. So the intent was, hey, we're working on it, but fine, yeah, we've had others, and so just take out hired, and we want them. I think the intent from me and Speaker Schultz and Terry was to say, hey, we're working on this, and here's some new developments. But I think what you've said is completely accurate. We have this, we have that. Here you go. So, okay. Seeing no other lights, let's see. We're back to member Reel. Should I read the motion again? I think we got it. Member Reel has? Okay, we'll come back to her. All right, everybody clear? Yeah, there we go. Hyperlinks, multiple parent engagement specialists. Okay, member Booth. Member Bogus. Member Klein. I'm just going to keep checking, but I don't know if she's joining us. Member Davis.
Yes.
Vice Chair Earl. Member Green. Vice Chair Hart. Member Carey. Member Wood. Member Hymas. Member Lear.
yes.
Member Norton. Member Straight. Member Moss is yes. I think we still are missing Member Reel, so that passes unanimously. And we're back to the underlying motion that the board pass draft 2 as amended. Any further discussion to that? Seeing no lights, we can vote. At least I don't think I see any lights. Okay, Member Chair Moss is a yes. Member Straight? Member Norton? Member Lear?
Yes.
Member Hymas? Member Wood? Member Carey? Member Vice Chair Hart? Yeah. Member Green? Vice Chair Earl? The underlying motion, draft 2 is amended with Member Davis's amendment. Member Davis?
You said my name twice. I thought you were still, yes.
Oh, let's see. No, we're going back up. Did I do this wrong? No. Okay, Member Bogus. Yeah, we got a lot of roll calls going. Well, I'm going up the list this time. So you're up. Member Bogus. Yes. Member Booth. And Member Reel. We don't have Member Reel. So. Okay, that passes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 in favor, 1 no, Member Green, and 1 abstention, Member Carey, and 1 absent, Member Klein. So I think you voted yes. Did I screw that up, anybody? I shouldn't keep my own counts. I think we got everybody. Yeah, you were yes. I had you as a yes. Unless anybody heard that wrong, I had Member, let's see, Member Green is a no, Member Klein absent, Member Carey abstaining, everybody else as a yes. And Sarah was not here, I apologize, yeah. Sarah, I thought I'd get her. Okay, all right, that passes and is approved and will be sent to the USBA for their review by their body and back up to legislative leadership. Thank you for that discussion. That wraps that item, and I think we go to executive session. Okay, so we do have additional business in executive closed session, and we need a motion. Let's see. Vanessa or Kelsey, do you have the motion? Oh, here we go. I'm sorry, it's stashed away. We need a motion for, you want to take us into executive?
I'm looking for a motion to go into executive session for the purpose of discussing the character, professional competence, or physical or mental health of individuals and pending or reasonably imminent litigation. So moved. We have a motion. Motion been made and seconded. This will be a voice vote. Chair Moss?
Yes.
Member Straight? Yes. Member Norton? Yes. Member Lear? Member Lear? It's an executive session. Member Hymas? Yes. Member Wood? Yes. Member Carey? Yes. I'm a yes. Member Green? Yes. Member Vice Chair Earl? Yes. Member Davis?
Yes.
Member Klein? Member Bogus?
Yes.
Member Booth?
Yes.
Member Reel? Absent. All right, with a vote of 13 yeses, 2 absent, that motion passes. We will go into executive session. Yeah, go ahead. This is the agenda item with the remainder of the staff members. Yep.
Okay, we are ready for a motion.
Motion to come out of executive session?
Second.
Okay, and I put away my roll call, didn't I? There we go. All right. Motion's been made to come out of executive session. Chair Moss, yes. Member Straight? Yes. Member Norton? Member Norton, did we lose her?
She
Okay.
stepped out or something.
Member Lear? To come out of executive. Member Hymas? Yes. Member Wood? Yes. Member Carey? Yes. Member Hart?
Yes.
Member Green? Vice Chair Earl?
Yes.
Member Davis? Yes. Member Bogus? Yes. Member Booth? Yes. And Member Reel? Yes. Okay, we are out of executive session. There is no action coming out of executive session. So we are looking for a final motion. Okay, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Have a great weekend, y'all. See you shortly, whenever that may be. Happy Thanksgiving. Gracias. Okay, take care.